What's up, guys? Eric Prey, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Monday, January 24th. Get this posted tomorrow. It's, I don't know, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon right now, getting ready to head to the house. Not going to have a chance to get this done tonight, so it'll get posted tomorrow. Fished the mid-lake area today. Caught some deep, caught some shallow. Kind of go over that here in a minute. As far as our lake level is concerned, we are at 914.5, so basically half a foot below normal winter pool. Core is still running quite a bit of water. Not constant. It's kind of off and on, off and on, off and on. But they are draining this one down. Beaver, table, or bull shoals are getting them all a little bit lower. Basically to deal with the spring rains is what I can only assume. Water temperature started at 48.5 today. Just pulled off the water this afternoon. I was at 49.9, so essentially 50. It has definitely, there's some areas where the water's colder, so you know, don't send me a message or anything saying that, hey, god dang it, you don't know what the heck you're talking about. Here in the mid-lake, according to my Lowrance, 48 in the morning, 50 in the afternoon. I know up the Kings it was frozen over this weekend, way up the Kings around the 86 bridge. So you're going to find cooler water if you go in up the rivers or back in some of the creeks. You may find some colder water, but right now mid-lake, main lake, 48 to 50 degrees. You know what, the bite is changing. Catching them doing a bunch of different stuff. Didn't have a great day today. Had, I don't know, 15, 16 fish, and most of those were keepers, 12 or 13 keepers. Like I said, I did catch some deep, I did catch some shallow, so doing a little bit of everything. We'll get a report posted on Table Rock Fishing Intel this afternoon or evening. Best way to know what's going on, best way to know exactly how we're catching them on a daily basis. Become a pro member, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Get those reports daily, weekly, so on and so forth. Get all that information that we put up there all the time. But if you're coming down, say you want to fish the lower end of the lake, you know, best bite down there has been kind of a deep bite, but it's gonna sound like a broken record because basically the same things are working all over the lake. There is a decent deep bite if you can find the shad. The places I found them today and the places I found them when I was down on the lower end last week, if I had shad, I could catch some fish deep, and catching them on a scuba spoon, catching them on a Demiki rig, catching them on a Rapple the jigging Rap. So all that stuff is still working, but you got to find shad. If you can't find shad, even if there's fish there, they're hard to catch. Better bite down there has been on either a jerkbait or a crankbait. I will tell you this, on the crankbait bite today, at least around here, at least half of the areas I fished, we're already starting to see some moss grow. So it's making it a lot more difficult to throw a crankbait if it hits the bottom and gets gucked up with moss already. So keep that in mind. Not every area I fish, but about half of the areas I fished with a crankbait today were that way. It wasn't that way last week. Who knows, down by the dam. Jerkbait bite's been pretty strong. Spromic stick, Megabass Vision 110, either of those have been working. And most of those fish have been coming out of about 18 to 25 foot of water around some sort of wood cover, whether it's standing timber or brush piles or something like that. A lot of these fish are coming off of points. Even, I mean, the deep fish, the crankbait fish, and the jerkbait fish all seem to be gravitating to points just because of the amount of current they've been running in both main lake and secondary points. Come up here in the mid-lake where I am today. Like I said, I caught them deep and shallow today. Caught them deep, basically out of trees. Found a few on the bottom, but I couldn't get them to go. But most of them came out of treetops, around 35 to 45 foot deep. The bulk of the fish I caught deep were on a secondary point that has about 8 trees on it, and I just cycled between the trees and had a few shad around, so I was able to get bit out of those trees. Overall depth was like 75 foot deep, but the fish were in that 30 to 40 foot range. Caught most of them today on the Demiki rig and on the scuba spoon, but I think you can catch them on an ice bait or anything else as well. Shallow bite, I caught a couple on a rock crawler, phantom green color. But like I said, about half of the banks I wanted to fish a rock crawler on that had some good wind on it, I had moss already starting to grow, so didn't do real well with the rock crawler. Switched up, threw a jerkbait a little bit. I was throwing a Spromic stick, Ghost Table Rock shad. Had 3 or 4 fish slap at it, had them hooked up, bringing them to the boat, and they'd just come on buttons, so it kind of tells me that they weren't really eating it. They were just kind of slapping at it. I think that bite Would be a lot better if we had a little bit more shad up shallow. It seems like most of the shad I'm seeing are kind of towards the guts of the creeks or out deeper. I think if we start to see some shad move up a little bit shallower, we'll really start to see those, the jerkbait bite really start to turn on. I threw an A-rig for about a half an hour. I had one fish on it, and it was a short fish. That fish came out of 45 foot of water out of the top of a tree that was about 25 foot down, and it was like a 13.5-inch Kentucky, so nothing to get too excited right there. Go up in the James, same sort of deal. I think the shallow bite's a lot better in the James. I'm going to hit the James up quite a bit towards the end of this week because, again, to be honest with you guys, I'm tired of fishing deep. So I did it today because I wanted to see if there was still a deep bite, but I'm tired of fishing deep, so I'm going to go up the James this week. Plan on throwing a rock crawler quite a bit, see what the moss situation is up that way. Going to throw a jerkbait quite a bit, and going to throw an A-rig and a jig quite a bit, and just see if we've got a little bit better shallow bite. I know the guys I've talked to that have been up there have been telling me the water's cooler, especially when you get up around Cape Fair. The water's like 45, even 44. And they have been getting a better shallow bite up that way than we have been down lake. So that's what I'm going to go search for. Can probably launch at Ants Creek and run up and fish up there a couple of times by the end of the week. But definitely a good shallow bite up the James right now. Rock crawler, jerkbait, jig, Pro Spider jig, and the A-rig. I'm sure you can catch them on that too, but I'll have more about that next week. White River, did fish the White River the end of last week. Went out when it was cold and nasty, and I don't know why, but caught a few deep. Again, started off shallow, started off throwing a jig, started off throwing a crankbait and a jerkbait. Had, I think, 3 fish on a jig, only 1 keeper, had 2 on a rock crawler. They were both keeper blacks, so that was pretty good. Had 2 on a jerkbait, both of them were keepers. One was a smallmouth, one was a black. But it really seemed like we weren't getting the number of bites that I felt like we could out deep, so I slid out deep and started dropping a Demiki rig and the jigging wrap down there, and we actually caught them pretty good deep up the White, especially up around Big M. Most of those fish were close to the bottom, 45 to 55 on the main lake, on main lake points, so kind of keep that in mind if you're heading up that way. There is a deep bite going on. But you can, if you don't want to fish deep, you can catch them shallow on a jerkbait, crankbait, jig. Did not throw an A-rig while I was up there, so can't give you any sort of report on how the A-rig bite is up there, but definitely can catch them shallow if you want to up the White River. Guys, it is almost the end of January. We should start to see, who knows what we're going to see with the weather. Lake is down to about 48 degrees, like I said today. If you get up in the rivers, it will be cooler, but the water has cooled off a little bit. I think the bite is getting a little bit better. I'm really starting to see a lot of fish moving shallower, so I expect to see a good shallow bite probably throughout February and then into March. It's just hard to say. It's all going to depend on the weather and see what the heck is going on. But, you know, best way to stay on top of that, best way to know what's going on, join Table Rock Fishing Intel. Get those daily reports, weekly reports. Get all of that information every day that helps you catch more fish on Table Rock Lake. $45 a year. The maps alone are worth that, but $45 a year for a pro membership, and you get access to everything we've got online. But if you're coming down, you want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either shoot me an email or book online. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. Guys, thanks for watching the video. Take a minute. Again, check out Table Rock Fishing Intel if you haven't done so. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.